this video where I'm recording my screen and seeing myself on the camera. So this recording being done to explain you about how to get started with Raspberry Pi Pico. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first explain you the difference between the two versions of Raspberry Pi Pico. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So one is a Raspberry Pi Pico W, right? So this one is W, and one is Raspberry Pi Pico 0. So this one is 0. Now, without going too much into detail, the only difference between these two is this is slightly more expensive. This is obviously different than this one, and this comes with the wireless card, as you see here. There's a small Wi-Fi card, so this one can get connected to the internet. This one cannot, right? Although you can program both same way. Another difference is on this one you may see a small LED light here, right? So that is actually connected to a separate GPIO. So what I'll explain to you later. And this one is obviously the LED light is connected to the Wi-Fi card on board. So there's a slight difference between the way we program my LED light. I'm explaining this because in today's program I'm going to be explaining you how to get started with the first Raspberry Pi Pico program, that is programming the LED light. Now let's move on. I think first thing first, you need to install, obviously this would come with a small cable, right? Something like that. Both of them, these will come with a cable like this. So you would need to plug in the cable into the Pico when you open the box, just like that, right? And then you could get it installed on top of this small board, something like that, right? So you can place it. You have to be very careful when you put it in there, because you just want to push it gently so that you don't bend the pin, right? So here I would rather do it from this way. So as you see here, there is I would always leave 2 pin rows on this side and 2 on this side. I'll explain that later why. And then you can start from the top, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 all the way here, and then it's so always start with the the right counting, because these are the pin numbers that we would need later on. So right now I put in the middle. This is Pico W. You can use same way the Pico 0 if you have Pico 0. No difference the way you plug it in. Now moving on, next, the first thing you need to do is to install a program called Thonny, right? So the Thonny is from thonny.org. So you need to go on this website here, right? And you need to install Thonny here. You can see, right? This thonny.org. So you can just simply type in thonny.org like this, right? I'll do it again, thonny.org. That's it. And then you click on it. Here I'm using Mac, so I would be installing Thonny on Mac. I'll click here on Mac and I'll download Thonny for Mac, right? So this is my Thonny for Mac PKG 42 MB. If you're using Windows, you can just click here and install Thonny for Windows, which is slightly it's lesser in terms of file size, 21 MB. So if I do this, because I have installed Thonny already, so I have prepared a technical manual for you which explains you step by step how to actually install Thonny. So I'm gonna pull that one here. That is my technical manual, which I'll explain you when you install Thonny what you need to do, because I think you need to understand everything when you do this installation. Otherwise it becomes a little tricky sometimes. So this is a proper Raspberry Pi. Okay, how to get started with Raspberry Pi Pico. So that's a small technical manual. So first step, right? First step is to basically unbox the Pico, and I have shown you plug your Pico like this, right? And then you go on to the second step and insert your USB. We already did that. And the third step, sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes what happens is when you get it a new Pico, especially in Pico W case, you need to install this W122 this UF2 file. It doesn't happen always, but if it happens, you just need to download this file and put it on Pico W. Now this may be a little confusing, but let me explain you what happens there. So if you, and only if it happens, right? When you plug in, for example here, let me explain you this. When you plug in this, your Pico, okay, like this into your USB. And this is a bit of troubleshooting. You can skip this if you don't get this problem. And when you plug this in, and the moment you plug in, it goes into the flash mode, right? It goes into the flash mode and you get something like that, right? Like that, what you see on my screen. If you get something like that, right, it means you need to go directly into flash mode where it goes into the, show you as a flash drive. In this case, you need to download this file, right? Go on MicroPython, download RPI Pico W, and mostly it happens on Pico W. And download this file, and I have already, I think, just to be, yeah, here you go. I already gone to that site. You see here? Yeah, I can show you here. See the same link, right? And here you download this file. When it's downloaded, you simply copy paste that file here onto this, right? You copy paste that file here. The moment you're going to copy paste that file, this will disappear, right? And next time when you plug that in, nothing will happen. So let's basically check this out again. So once it's copied, then you plug that in again, right? Nothing will happen. It will not come there again, right? Like this. And then what you need to do is you need to go back to the Thonny again to see if it has. So once you have installed Thonny, now here, let me step by step guide you. So you have done this step, right? If it happens, you copy this. And often there is a small button here. It's called boot cell. You don't need to press it when you download, when you start your Pico. This boot cell button here, yeah, the small button. You don't need to press it when you plug in. Why? Because this you only need to press if you want to go into access the internal flash memory, and then it will be shown here. If you press this when you plug it in and keep pressing it, it will shown here as an internal flash memory, which you don't need to. Right, because we don't need to bother that unless we need to access it, right? And because it's a very small memory. Let's move on. So basically, first thing first, once all sorted, then you go and install your Thonny. So Thonny, I explained you where to get started with Thonny. This is installation of Thonny. I just want to run you through a little Thonny sort of like installation manual. So when you download Thonny, you click on the install button, right? It will show you a screen like that, right? And then you move on and you select accept agreement, right? No arguments there, right? Simply accept it. And then you go to the next slide here. Here we go. Yeah. After this, you will be given where you want to install Thonny. Just install wherever you want to install. Click on next, create a desktop icon, and finally you got Thonny installed like this, right? Once Thonny is installed, okay, you just need to run it by clicking here Thonny like this. Okay, here we go. It happens to me on the Mac all the time. I don't know why. Sorry about that. Sorry, my bad. Thonny. It happens to me all the time. No idea why, but it does. And I get really frustrated when it happens. There you go. Sorry about that. There you go. So once you get the Thonny like this, what you need to do next is you need to click on new, right? Before you do that, you need to go and do the configuration. So you click on, let me actually show you again. What you need to do is you need to click on run here, this run, right? and then you click on configuration, okay, like this. And once you have done that, then you need to this is the interpreter. You need to click on that, and you need to make sure you select here the Raspberry Pi Pico W. Now, or Pico actually. So if you are programming in Thonny just the Python, you can do Python 3, but if you have connected Pico and you want to program it, you need to select here this option here, this one, Pico W. That's what you need to select, right? So once you select Pico W, then you can click OK, and the moment you do that, this will appear here. You see here this Pico W. If it doesn't appear here due to some reason, then you can click stop here, this one. Click stop button, this stop button here, right? This one here, this, then it will appear here. So if everything goes right, your Pico should appear just right here. I'm going to move it slightly up so you can see it here, right? So if it doesn't appear there, that means it's not connected, something wrong, you need to fix this. And often we press the stop button because Pico is often running. When you press the stop button, it will appear here automatically. And another thing you need to make sure is selected here, this one, Pico W. Sometimes what happens is, when you even select this Pico W here sometimes it doesn't automatically detect it, right? You leave it on the automatic detection, right? It will detect it, but if something goes wrong, it doesn't detect it, then sometimes you can select another, for example, this is board in FS mode, try this one or that one, and then it basically appears, but most likely it will appear if you keep it like this by default and these checked in. Sometimes you have to install and upgrade your MicroPython as well, but here we don't need to. So this is just the basics that you need to understand. Now we have done the basics. Let's basically go ahead and write our first program, which is how to turn the LED light on. Okay, so here let me actually show you what we're going to do. You see here, this is Pico W, right? So here you have a small LED light, Now we will program both Pico W and Pico 0, right? So that we tell you the difference, the way Pico W and Pico 0 LED light can be controlled, right? This is Pico 0. You see there's no Wi-Fi card. Here you have a small Wi-Fi card on W. Okay. Now let's do the LED light. So we need to write the code for LED light. First thing we need to do is from machine, because all the libraries are inside the machine. So you write down from machine. I hope you can see my screen. I'll actually zoom in so that you can really see it, right? View, run, zoom in, zoom in. There we go. Slightly more so that you can actually see. From machine, import. What do we need to import? First we need to import pins, because everything on Pico is on pins, right? So this is what you need to understand, that whatever we do is on pin. Now before I move forward, I really need to explain to you the GPU chart and the pins, right? But I don't want to get you confused in the beginning about the pins. I'm gonna do that in the second video about the GPU chart and the pin, because right now we are just using internal onboard Pico, what you call it, the onboard Pico LED, right? So for example, this is onboard Pico LED here, small, you can't see it, very small, right? When it flash, it will see it. And similarly, the other one I talked to you about, this one also has a small LED light, very small, right? And but you can obviously put some external LED light as well, something like that, right? This is another external light, 3 RGB, green, yellow, so not RGB, green, yellow, and red. And yes, I'm in a classroom, so don't worry about the well. Here we go. This is another one, which is another light, right? So there's several lights. Now the thing is, we're gonna control the internal light, not external. So every single light needs to be controlled through pins, right? So these are obviously, these are the external lights. So we'll learn the GPIO chart for that. But before we do that, we just want to show you the internal light, which is on this Pico, is on pin 25. And on this Pico, it is connected onto the Wi-Fi. So there are two different ways in which we access the LED light on Pico. So let's start off with this one first. Sorry, this one first, this one. Right? We start off with this one. We plug this one here, like this. Okay, and we want to control the LED light. On this one, the LED internal onboard pin is on GPIO pin 25, right? So we need to program it on 25. So we need to first obviously import it. We import it, and then second thing we need to do is, okay, sorry, just a second. There you go. Because I changed the Pico, so it automatically need to detect that, which it is not detecting due to some reason. It happens, you know, the troubleshooting is always a challenge. And what about this one here? Okay, just a second. Yeah, here you go. I got the Pico. Okay, so first the import pin, then we got from time. We need to import sleep because we want to make it sleep, right? So we need to import these two libraries because we're going to use it. And we're going to use I'm not going to teach here the Python, but I'm going to use while true loop, within which I'm going to actually first create an LED. I will before I use that, I need to create an LED light. And the way I can do it by simply using pin. Okay, and because the internal pin is on 25, I'll say 25, and then I will use pin dot out because that's a pin dot out, and then I'm going to just access it by turning it on. So I'll say LED on, and then I will go to sleep for, let's say, 0.5 half second, right? And then I will say LED dot off. I will turn it off and go to sleep again 0.5 second, and then I will run my program. Okay, I want to run it basically. I'm going to put it on side and I'll show you while I'm running it, right, so that you can see actually what happens on the, you see here the LED is on already, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this. When I click on save, you will actually get this. You see here, this one. When your Raspberry Pi is connected, you will get this, and you need to click on this one because and I'm going to save it as LED. And this one is a Pico 0. I'm just going to call it Pico 0, right? And here we go. I saved it, and the moment I run it, it will start blinking. See? Okay, hold on a minute. It goes into save mode. The moment I run it, it will start blinking. Here we go. Oh, the moment I run it, I get an error. Let's see what the error is about. Always good to get some errors so that you know how to do the troubleshooting. Okay, let's see. Let's see the error. It says, the error says that function takes one positional argument, but two were given. Which function? 8, line 8. So this is line 8. LED off. This does not take value. That's true actually. This is on and off. That's it. Okay, let's go back there. Okay, so we run this again, and it's gonna start blinking. Here we go. See? Do you see it blinking here? You see where my hand is? Okay, here. This one blinking. Yeah. This is blinking. Why? Because this is because of this LED on and LED off, right? And we are giving a 0.5 delay there, So that's why it's blinking very, very slowly. Okay, and that's on the GPU 25. Sorry about that. Okay, GPU 25. So now if I make it 2, right, and make this one 2, okay, it'll blink much faster. You see here? It's blinking much faster here. Okay. Now, this is about the blinking. Now, in the next video, I'll explain you about the pin 25. Now, one more thing before I go. This is about Pico 0. But on Pico W, if I remove this and I put Pico W here, Pico W, this one, yeah, that's Pico W. The moment I put Pico W, I cannot run it on pin 25 anymore. You know, if I save this on Pico W, let's say I save this, save as, save a copy, okay, on Pico W. Let's say LED on Pico W. Now, the problem is, when I run at 25, it will not run. You know why? Because Pico W is not, the LED is not on 25 pin. In Pico W, there's a Wi-Fi card, and that's why the LED is on Wi-Fi chipped in onto the Wi-Fi card. So that's why you need to here put up our parameter here saying LED, and that's it. Okay. If you do that, you run this. Here we go. Now, just a second. I think I need to change my Pico W. Sorry about that. Troubleshooting, right? There we go. Now, if I run this, here you go, blinking. You see, it is blinking. Yeah, I stop this, stop blinking. I start this, it is blinking. You see, because this is what happens on Pico W. This is the argument you need to pass. If it is Pico 0, you put here 25. And I hope you like the video.